This is the North End. This is the North End.
Welcome to the North End Podcast. We have a very, very special show for you tonight. It has been a wacky beginning to the season for a lot of clubs managers in and out. But of course, Aston Villa being one of them. That there was a lot going on. There was a lot of excitement, and of course, this is an Aston Villa special. We've got a number of guests here. We're going to discuss their thoughts on the sacking of Dean Smith and what they want to expect, or what they do expect from a new manager. And I'm going to bring in the guests here. We're going to go around the horn. Simon, welcome back to the channel. It's good to see you, brother. You okay?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Yeah, doing well, thank you. Thanks for having me back on.
It's a pleasure. JP California. Not a pleasure, but good to see you anyway.
and to you, Mr. Ireland. It seems your background's really playing in your flavor.
This is the manager you wish you had.
I mean, yeah, I'm not going to say no, but yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay. And Mikey, welcome to the channel. First time having you here, but it's
thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Awesome.
Fantastic. And tell us a little quickly before I get on to Lukey Boy. What's your this stream is sponsored by your pizza joint, so tell us a little bit about that.
Big Troll Pizza. Started it out in 2018. Our colors are oddly enough the Villa colors.
Claire and blue.
Yeah. We're in Toronto. We're moving to a bigger shop. Still working on it. But yeah, would love to be able to host a little meetup there once everything is settled. Got pizza, burgers, maybe a little bit of booze coming along.
Oh, that's helpful to get everybody there for sure.
Best burgers I've ever had in my entire life.
TV. There.
Well, Mikey, thanks for coming on, mate. That's fantastic stuff.
Thank
and
you.
We'll put a link to if you don't mind providing that with Luke, and he'll send
okay.
us. We'll get a link to
awesome.
where you guys are located. Put it in the description so people can check it out. And of course, cool. I'm going to say hello to my colleague, Mr. Luke Connolly. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Brian. Thank you so much. That was probably the nicest introduction you've ever given me.
My colleague of everybody else before you, so I figured.
It's pity right now, actually.
Yeah, it is. It's fair. No, it's fine. No, I'm good. I'm excited for this this pod, and thanks for bringing it together, Brian. A great bunch of guys. We've got Simon Leach, obviously, over at Chicago Lions. We've got JP over there on the other side of the world, on the West Coast. And we've got at Big Trouble Pizza, the best pizza joint in Toronto. And actually, no lie, the best burgers I've ever had in my entire life. They do these smash burgers. They do these collabs. It's disgusting.
It's a good show. Like I said, give me that link so we can put it in the comments or in the description, so we can get people to go check it out if you're in Toronto.
Thank you.
For sure. But excited, Brian. Excited to talk all things Villa. So, I suppose the first thing we've got to do is just kind of address what's happened. So for anyone that's been living under a rock, there has been a number of sackings recently. Obviously, Nuno Espirito was first at Tottenham, replaced by Conte. Somehow the Tottenham faithful have landed on their feet again.
I'm going to do that a lot tonight.
Bastards. Yeah, I would do the same. And then, obviously, the other day, Norwich recorded their first victory, only for the manager to be brought in and told, great job, get the fuck out. And then...
Thank you and goodbye.
Exactly. And then after a little extra bit of time, Aston Villa recorded their fifth straight loss with a just demoralizing 1-0 loss to a pretty average Southampton. And obviously not long after that, within the next 24 hours, Dean Smith was given his marching orders. So obviously a very surprising time. There is real split opinion on this from the Villa faithful. I feel we've got a good mix of people here. But Bri, if you want to bring up the first slide, and let's just have a look at the glory.
Yeah, like where he came from and where you guys got to, right? It was an impressive. He's done impressive stuff for Villa over the years. He's been a good manager for you guys. So I'll let you guys kind of talk about this a little bit if I have any questions, sort of from an outsider. But Luke, on your bike.
Yeah, so obviously Dean Smith, a coveted selection. He came, obviously did fantastic things over at Brentford. Obviously Brentford continue to run a fantastic football model. But, Dean Smith's time at Villa wasn't too bad. Wembley promotion in the year that we had that promotion went from a very, very average middle of the table to a 10-win streak, setting a new record, 144-year record for Aston Villa. Obviously brought us up, kept us up in the first year, pretty mid-table finish in our second year, Carabao Cup final, FA Cup youth winners. So there's a lot of positives. But the problem was there was an awful lot of, let's just say, things that didn't quite hit a lot of the fans, and there was a lot of debates on were players playing up to the quality they should have. Dean Smith, was he tactically aware? Was he a bit inept in certain departments? So, I want to throw it out to the panel, guys, we've had a number of years with Dean Smith. There's no denying that he loved the club. He's an Aston Villa fan. That's why I think this is a little harder to stomach. But Simon, I want to go to you first. What do you make of this sacking?
Disappointed that he wasn't as successful as I hoped he was going to be. But having had the last 24, 36 hours to think about it, I think I've come to the conclusion that it was the right decision at the right time, to be perfectly honest. I mean, people talk about the 5-game losing streak that we've just been on, and a lot of fans are pointing to that as short-termism, getting rid of him just because we've lost 5 games in the trot. But the reality is, since the beginning of 2021, calendar year 2021, we've lost 18 games, which is more than any other Premier League team. And so I think when you look at that stat, it shows that there was something underlying not right there. And it wasn't as short-term an issue as we may have tried to gloss over the last few weeks here. So, I think in conclusion, right decision at the right time, but highly disappointed.
Yeah, no, I think a good point. Bright, if you could open the second slide, and I want to throw to JP as you do that. So, JP, me and you go back and forth, and every week I love it. It's one of my best, and sometimes I think you're a fool, other times I think you're a genius. But you know your football, you coach it, you love it, you follow it. Obviously some pretty strong words there by Simon. I can't disagree. And there is what Simon mentioned, like the most losses of any Premier League club in the calendar 2021 year, 5 in a row, second most this season with 7. Like, JP, I know you're not 100% on this sacking. Like, what do you make of it?
There's two sides of me, and the biggest thing that I have to say is most times when you have a sacking of a manager, the fans want it to happen. You look back at all the managers, Brian, you can just look at Nuno. You probably wanted Nuno to go. You thought it was time. It was probably 2 weeks too late.
The moment he walked in the door, Brian was like,
most people,
when you have a great choice, so it was a difficult one.
You're like waiting for the manager to go. Where I feel like Villa fans were still trying to decide if Dino was the right guy to take him forward in the long run, but you weren't 100% sure, and then the trigger was pulled, and you're like, "What just happened?" Fans were getting edgy, but they weren't gone at any means. They could have won the next game against Brighton. Vans would have been doing a little bit better, tied a game, and it would have been like right back to kind of where we were.
JP, can I quickly ask you a question in regards to that? Because I think when you see what's happened, of course, we've watched what happened with Spurs and getting the sack, and then Ole maybe getting the sack, and it was kind of this like. In the Premier League right now, there's all these teams that are on the cusp of doing that or have done it. And is it a scenario where it's like if you pull the trigger now, despite Dean Smith probably being deserving to get more time, is it if we pull the trigger now, we're going to have more options? Do you think that was part of that decision making?
I don't know if it gives them more options. I think it gives them the time needed.
Well, maybe that's it. Yeah. And there's
waited for
international break coming up as well, right?
The international break really played a critical role. If there wasn't an international break, I don't think they would have done it right after the Southampton game. I think they would have waited till potentially after, Man City in 2 games? I think it's Man City. And I think they would have waited till potentially after the Man City, which could have potentially been 7 losses in a row, which would have been a pretty damning number. And that would be pretty close.
I think they've gotten ahead of it. I think it was the right thing to do.
I do.
I said to Luke last week, I was like, I think you guys probably need to be looking at this right now.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's the right, despite it feeling awful, because I think that's the case when it's a manager who's done what he's done. With the previous slide, we saw the quality, and then you kind of go, oh man, but
And
it's levels, right? You want to get to the
when you
next
look
level.
at these losses, you look at the Premier League, 18 losses, 7 losses this season, 5 losses in a row. That's really heavy.
Doesn't
But
look
then
good,
you've
does it?
also put in, you lost your best player, but you reinvested in 3 decent, good players, or fans do believe these are all really decent players who will come good. You spent 95 million, 90 million this summer. That doesn't
Well-
add on the other 200 million that he's spent since he's been in the Premier League. And after
Yeah.
300 million, you expect better than a 15th place and 5 losses in a row.
Yeah, but you
And
got to look
that's
at the average cost of the players we bought with that 300 million, right?
Of
I mean,
course.
it's all well and good saying 300 million, and I agree with you, JP. I mean, I'm not. Again, as I mentioned, I think it was the right decision at the right time. But in Dean Smith's defense, we bought a full squad of players. It wasn't even like
100%.
a team of players. We bought a full squad of players. And if you look at the average cost of Villa players, I think my guess would be it's somewhere around about 15 to 20 million. At the top spend that we've had on a player, I would guess 10 other teams in the Premier League have all had bigger
100%.
top spend players than we have. So, I mean, he has somewhat had one hand tied behind his back.
It's an interesting concept, but like Villa as a whole and the player amount they've spent, it seems like a lot of money. But when you look at where they spent the money, it's like what, 4 guys over 25 million, and that's it. Most of it's like a $10, $15 million buy. And Dean Smith has made a lot of those guys better. Half of those guys have gotten their first cap or continue to get international caps under his tutelage. He's made the sale of Jack Grealish for $100 million. So he's actually helped Villa raise some of those funds back. But I think it still comes down to that it's a results business, and the results were not going his way.
Well, the other
And,
thing we haven't touched on here as well is the fact that the January window is coming up, right? I mean, we're 6 weeks away from that, and again, I think the international break and the January window, 6 weeks is a nice amount of time. I think they're going to make a decision on somebody by Wednesday of this week. I think they've probably already got somebody lined up, and I think giving them 6 weeks before January to come in, see which players have got the desire to do well for the new manager, will give them a good chance to assess the situation. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't spend a lot of money. A lot of the residual that's left over from the Grealish sale, because our net spend this year was 0.
I just want to throw it to Mikey here. So Mikey, I'm really excited to have you on the pod, because what I love about Mikey is he doesn't give a fuck. If Mikey feels he has an opinion on something, he says it, and I love it. And me and Mikey go back and forth between us. We fall out with friends, we fall out with people that we know, like, because we believe in our point. And Mikey's, if he says something, he's 100% backing it. Now, Mikey, some big quotes there. I think for me at least, and I'd latch onto what Simon said. I also wonder whether they looked at Smith and they looked at the January window and said, right, do we have enough trust in him if we give him another 40, 50, 60 million to turn this around? And I think ultimately they thought maybe not. Now, I want to get into it a little bit. 90 million spent, right? I know, and as just the time, and the average spend is very different, but we still spent 35 million on Buendia. We beat Arsenal to that. We picked up Danny Ings. We Smith again couldn't find a system that worked with Ings. So, Mikey, like, how much of this is a misspend of money? How much of this is players just not performing? Like, what do you make of this? Do you think that money spent was just not spent well? Like, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I look at all of this as strictly business. As much as people, football fans, don't want to hear about it, ownership of a football club has the number one intention to make money. And I assume Brian knows the frustration of Daniel Levy wondering, why didn't you just pay fucking £25 million for Jack Grealish? That's all they wanted.
No, we could have got him for 7 million, Mikey.
Oh, well, there you go.
Million at one point.
And
Daniel Levy, the
Josh
cheapest.
Ugh.
But the way I think, Luke, it was you or someone else, I said, in every business, you have a 5-year plan. And by year 3, that's when you start to assess, where are we going with this business model?
Correct.
Are we actually seeing some returns. I'm going to give you, okay, Dino, I'm going to give you these first 2 years. I'm going to see what's happening here, because by the skin of his teeth, he did get Villa up and running. That 10-game win streak was, I mean, I don't know where that came from. Honestly, like the reality check, that Sheffield United game, God, that could have been the doom of us. I think, you know, I mean, we got away with it. And so it was like, all right. We could have had owners that were like, right, we're done with this guy. This guy couldn't do anything. So let's bring in someone else. But they decided, you know what? I'm going to give this guy another full season. Let's go. And assembled a pretty amazing squad. Emi Martinez, as we all know, fantastic pickup. And I feel like Emi was one of the main reasons why that backline was much more solid. But this season, this is year 3. So now I'm pretty sure the bigger ups are like, right, we've given you quite a bit of money. We're kind of expecting something. And I think there was a lot of high hopes, even from pundits around, thinking, I think Villa are making some noise here. Let's see what they've got. That opening defeat to Watford, I kind of was like, you know what, that's a little bit of a mess, sure. But I think now when you look at the results and how actually more of the character of the players in these defeats, that's when it's starting to worry me. I'm starting to think like these guys are just clueless. They don't know what to do. I think even Dean's just kind of like, I don't know what to do. Target's reaction in that post-match interview, you look at the guy, he's just like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm absolutely broken, right? So yeah. I think from a business perspective, Purslow, Lange, Eden, Suarez, they've had to make a decision like, look, man, I want to grow. I'm willing to put in the money. I'm willing to put in the time, but I kind of need to see something in return here. I don't know if I can. If you look at their next few the schedule, you have Brighton, Crystal Palace. And from what I understand, and when I read from the boards, people always assume like, oh, easy games, we should win this. Yes, we should. If we have aspirations for Europe, absolutely. But we cocked it up against Palace last season at Selhurst when we were, you know, we were so close to finally breaking that duck. We screwed it up. Brighton, for some reason, is like a little bogey team now. It's that one little team that
they're kind of good.
Yeah, they're kind of good. They've been good.
And the thing is, like, people just don't want to admit that. And I feel that now the owners are starting to feel like, okay, you know what? I think this is a ticking time bomb. If we give him. Yeah,
I want to pick into that a little bit. So, and Simon, I want to throw to you a big shout out to the people joining us. Connor Flynn, obviously UTV. We've got Kevin Hunter in the chat as well. Lads, great to have you aboard. If you have any questions, give us a shout. Connor McBride there as well. A lot of Connors in the chat. We love the Connors. But yeah, I want to
the Villa thing apparently.
I gotta ask you, Si. So there's a lot of chat about this, and the one thing I've gone back and forth with JP on is certain individual performances like Tyrone Mings and stuff. So I want to ask one thing that pops up, and I don't want to pick out individual players, but I want to talk about tactical awareness. Now, I've had this conversation with a number of people. I'm not a pessimist, but I don't get like sucked up in the optimism of, oh, he's a Villa fan, and like if he's not good enough, he's not good enough. The one thing that I've always had an issue with Dino, and what I felt where he really was weak, was tactical awareness, how to see a game out, how to make the correct substitutions. Now, there was arguments maybe he didn't have the players, but the big thing I want to ask Simon, last year we had the second or third best defensive record in the Premier League, despite having like we kept a lot of clean sheets, we looked good. Obviously Martinez, our back four was fantastic. Matty Target was great, Matty Cash was great, the centre backs were great. All of a sudden we change and we're trying to play this different formation, maybe to get in the Ings and stuff, and it's not working. Like, Simon, like, does Smith have to take that fault? Does Smith have to go, you know what, that's on me, I shouldn't have messed with, I shouldn't have tried to fix something that wasn't broken?
Yeah, I mean, bottom line is yes, he's late. the CEO of the company, right? I mean, it all stops with him at the end of the day for performances on the field, at least, right? So ultimately, I would say absolutely it falls on him. But I think, without going down a rabbit hole here, but that very question opens up another question about why did Richard O'Kelly leave? Why did John Terry leave? And what was
Agreed.
the impact of them going
The John
on
Terry
Smith's?
John Terry one is a big one, I think, for me.
Yeah, what impact did they have on Smith's ability to be able to formulate a plan? With him being left on his own with now essentially just Craig Shakespeare by his side, did he lose those two really important voices who challenged him and asked him searching questions about his formation, about his lineup, about his training techniques and those kind of things? And I think, again, those are two important people that, had they have stayed, we may not have seen the decline that we've seen recently.
Yeah, JP, I'll throw to you. Connor made a great point there. Last year, we tied the shutouts of any team in the season. Like, we saw games out left, right, and center, and we were frighteningly good at the back. You know, with Emmy in the goal, who was, and I called it even before he played. I said he will start for Argentina, and he's gone and done something that Messi couldn't do. He's basically won him a cuppa, which is unbelievable. So great player. But then the defensive, Matty Cash looked brilliant. Matty Target, like JP. I'll ask you on him. What a decline he's had, and JP, tell me what you're thinking, because it's, as Connor said, it's a real big mess at the back right now.
I'm really glad you gave me that question, because I think John Terry inspired quite a bit of confidence at defense. I think he drilled them well. I mean, when we went out and saw them, John Terry,
he's used to drilling people well.
Yeah, he is, man. Fuck, we had added it somehow.
He did it. He did it.
You say
bang someone else's voice.
Sorry, Wayne Bridge. Hope you're not listening.
Well taken, I have to say.
That's what she said.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that too.
Sorry, JP. Sorry,
JP.
You're good. I thought he instilled a lot of confidence. I just branch off what Simon said. I think losing him and Richard O'Kelly really changed the dynamic of the team. I thought the defense has looked scattered in some games. They look out of sorts. They don't look like they have that winning mentality. And I feel like we haven't looked like we've had a style of play for the whole season. Whereas last year, even when we were struggling, I felt like we still looked like we had a style of play. Now, thanks, Connor. With that said, Matty Target for me wasn't a player. When we signed him, he didn't impress me. And I said it over and over that he wasn't good enough. But COVID happened, and all of a sudden he started playing well. It's almost like without the fans on his back, he was good. He was fine. It was almost like a scrimmage for him, a practice game, whatever. And he performed great last season. We have fans in the stadium again.
Panic.
He's starting to struggle again. And to me, it's that is the thing I see.
I'm gonna, you guys know I'm not a Villa fan, so I want to chime in quickly from a player that
definitely when you brought.
And Luke will know this. I loved Tyrone Mings as a loved. Yeah, it's a past tense, because if you watch what he's doing now, he doesn't look remotely close to as organized. He was the leader of that defense. Yeah, and he like, he was owning things. He was speaking. You know, I said, I'm like, that's what most clubs need, is a player like that who can speak the way he does to organize his defense. He looked like he was listening, arguably probably to John Terry, who was telling him, this is what you need to do. Right. This is your job. You're the leader. You're the captain. And which he was wearing the armband. He's now like he doesn't resemble anything what I saw last season. And I think that's a massive problem. He's your captain, right? Is he club captain currently still?
He's
club captain. Your club captain is struggling with doing his job. Basic version of his job. That's a massive problem defensively.
Hang on.
Luke will just grill. No. Hold on.
No. I'm going to say this, mate. This is why you and I have, and I get annoyed, because
God damn it, sometimes we're going at it right
now. Fuck it. This is what
I'm glad I started some issues with you guys. It's more fun.
People are tuning in, and Bri, I could not agree more. like we have to stop treating treating Tyrone Mings as if he's an up and coming 23-year-old centre back.
He's not.
He's not. He's 28.
He's a club
He's
captain.
had numerous opportunities. He was 4th choice at Bournemouth.
He's an international,
Yes, he did,
England
yeah.
international.
Then he is. Now that's a whole other thing. He's the weaker of the two centre backs who could play for England.
You've said
in
that
the
too, and
Villa
I
team.
agree. I agree for sure.
I absolutely agree. And so like this is the problem, and this is why I got annoyed the other week, and why I do get annoyed with these constant Instagram posts. We got to be better. We got to be, and people say, well, fucking be better. Stop putting it on your Instagram. And listen, I'm not trying to berate Tyrone Mings because he's certain things about his game that is old fashioned. I love it. He's in strong. If you have Tyrone Mings running at you, you're shitting your pants because he's an absolute unit.
He's a beast.
The problem is he's tactically inept sometimes. He gets his positioning dreadfully wrong in numerous opportunities.
He reminds me of Eric Dyer, to be fair. He's a bit of an Eric Dyer.
I feel that Mings, Mings has more mistakes in him than Eric Dyer. Every time we start, I feel that there's a mistake in Tyrone Mings, and
from a type of player.
For your club captain, that's worrying. JP, I'll let you respond to that if you want.
Yep.
The biggest thing I never had a problem with you going after him for his mistakes. Okay. I had a problem you going after him when other players make equally or more mistakes, but you don't go after them. So
because they're not the club captain, and I don't expect.
Let him do it. Let him do it, Luke.
Yeah. Tyrone Mings makes mistakes 100%, but he also adds a whole lot. And guess what? Our biggest loss this season is this game he didn't start. He might have gone in, but the damage is already done.
Yeah, I don't know.
No. We had a ridiculous sending off, and that was getting away from us, JP. I don't think that was a Mings. Yeah,
I'd say the Wolves loss was the biggest loss of this season.
But that could have happened to anybody. It could have happened to anybody. It of course happens to Villa, but
you said he adds, JP. What has he added? We've gone 5 defeats in a row. We've not kept a clean sheet in weeks. I think since the United game. I think it was the last time we could.
Yeah.
And we should have kept a clean sheet because they were bad. We won that game because United were bad, not because we were good. So, JP, on that basis, you tell me in the last 5-6 weeks, what has Tyrone Mings, the 28-year-old centre-back English international club captain for Villa, added to this team?
Hold on. All right. Do I get a chance? You're gonna.
He's asking the question. Answer.
Okay.
No.
So the thing for me is, at least Tyrone Mings looks like he's egging us on. It looks like he's trying to get some of the guys going. The West Ham game and the game this weekend against Southampton, when we were on him at the about 60th minute mark, he was in the box, getting in. He was getting guys up. He was getting in there. He's throwing his body around, and he's trying to make something happen. To me, these 5 games we've lost, where's McGinn been? He's our vice captain. You might say, oh, he's not a captain. He's not. He's a vice captain. He's part of the leader group. We all know he's just as important. Honestly, I've seen him do less. I think he's doing way less than Tyrone Mings is in the center mid, but you go after Tyrone Mings and you don't go after other people like Target or McGinn.
I think Luke has mentioned McGinn being pretty poor recently on a previous podcast.
But who does he go for?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
the captain.
I think there's a point there, right? Like if you're club captain, there's an expectation that's a bit greater than somebody who isn't. It just again from an outside perspective,
I actually think if you look at
expected,
the amount that McGinn has worked, McGinn has put a lot of wayward passes and stuff like that. I get that, but I don't think you'd ever challenge his work. The amount he's putting in the last couple of weeks, I think he's been putting in the same level. It's
but
just everyone else around him.
Work, or are you just challenging him as a player, like some of his qualities? Where in that case, I think McGinn and him are both like
the same quality next to him. I think Tyrone Mings is sat next to Eric Konza, and Eric Konza with a good move is Ezri. Sorry, and he's a top 4 defender. I honestly believe he's got that in him.
But he hasn't been a top 4 defender for the last.
But that's because his centre back partner is fucking headless. But Mikey, I want to throw to you a little bit here because I want to get your opinion on this.
I think going back to the Target thing, his downfall was expected. Why? No, it's Jack Grealish. Jack loved playing with Target, and Target loved playing with Grealish. Grealish saved his ass by holding the ball up. Target, as you would see right now, people are wondering what's going on with Grealish and the style he plays. Right now, Pep has him playing in a more on the outside than cutting in, which is what Grealish preferred to do. And that's what Target was great at, was coming out and providing a little bit more support. But when you have a world-class player like Jack Grealish holding the ball right in front of you, it makes your job a shit ton easier. And you see it right now. It's
I
like
agree.
there's no one to protect Target. There really is no one. He had it so good for that season that Grealish made him look good, which this also ties into Tyrone Mings. Emi Martinez and Ezri Konsa makes Tyrone Mings look very good. Now, I agree with you, JP. In that Southampton game, I have to admit, Tyrone Mings was the only guy that gave a shit. I was looking at it. But the problem with that, the whole giving a shit and putting an effort, I keep on thinking, like, this guy's playing like David Luiz. When he scores some spectacular goals, it's like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. But he can sometimes look like a headless chicken. And it also then alters the back line, like, okay, I have to reorganize and reshuffle here.
Luis drives me mad. He drives me mad.
Yeah. And for me, I feel like, and I spoke to you about this, Luke, earlier today, the world's best center backs or even midfield generals do not need to bark at their players. They have a plan.
Systems in place.
Practiced it. They've said, this is our game plan. All I need to do is like, hey, you got that? Got it.
But Mikey, I just want to chime in here real quick because that comes down to the manager. That's literally the manager's job to ensure.
And you know what?
Going back to that doesn't run into that. And you've lost. I'm sorry. Just let me finish. I think John Terry as a defensive coach is arguably the biggest reason why your defense has gone to shambles.
And that's the thing. How is it that we have the same back line from last year? We look absolutely
what's the difference?
clueless.
It's John Terry. It's not
right. And I think Simon alluded, like, what's going on here? So JT leaves, and the funny thing is, JT doesn't leave for another job. He still doesn't have a job. Then all of a sudden, Richard O'Kelly. Okay, what's going on? I thought you guys were pals here. What's going on?
After
you have
9
nothing.
years.
Yeah,
John
you have
Terry
no.
fuck Richard O'Kelly. Oh, sorry.
No.
Yeah,
We're gonna get sued.
For his face.
You're gonna. You have to start wondering. Something's going on in the back, and then Craig Shakespeare comes in. Like, okay,
Craig Shakespeare was in before.
Well, but it just seems like, why do we need 4 assistant coaches all of a sudden? Like, what's going on, Dean? You need a hand or something? Are you can't deal with all this stuff? But I agree, John Terry. As much as that first season he was there, it was kind of like, oh, what is this guy on about? Our defense is shit. And then all of a sudden, give him a little bit of time and confidence. The stability started to grow. You insert Emi Martinez there. And heck, if I was a central defender and I had a keeper like Emi Martinez, I'd be like, he's got that. I'm okay. If I cock it up one time, sorry, my bad.
Let him do his job, essentially, right?
Exactly, right? And yeah, unfortunately, I also think maybe there's more added pressure on Mings this season. And I feel that maybe that's gotten into him a little bit more. Yeah, he can't.
Simon, I want to throw to you here, Simon, and going back to Smith. You know, we've talked about a lot of like the individual players. Kevin Hunter had a great point. Kevin speaks a lot of sense.
I guess it's the first for everything, right? So
yeah, exactly. He was saying, and I have to agree with him. He said Dean Smith not signing a holding midfielder was criminal, crying out for someone in there. He said watching Rice, Souček a few weeks ago stroll about Villa Park and dominate just showed what we lacked. Like, what do you make of that comment? I think it's very hard to argue there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think if you look at the games that we've lost and we've not performed in, and that's been the problem, we've not performed, most of that starts with the midfield. And the midfield supports the front line and the midfield supports the back line. And when your midfield is shot, then you're not going to be scoring goals and you're going to be putting a lot more pressure on your back line. And I think, again, very clearly, that is the area where we missed a big opportunity to strengthen this close season.
Yeah, JP, how much of a loss right now? Obviously, maybe trying to look at was it maybe Smith, and this is a point actually leads me into obviously we're missing Douglas Luiz. Connor mentioned there, like Douglas is really skeptical. I think we were all very scared for a while that City would activate that buyback. They didn't. I'm actually not sure why they didn't, because based on even how he was playing for us then, I'd have bought him back and then turned immediately back to Villa and say, okay, you can have him for 15 mil or 20 mil, right? So I don't get that, but we got him. We've lost him to Brazil. We've lost him to injury. So I want to ask, like, was Smith a little unlucky here with the way the injuries have hit him, and he
Totally.
apparently it's coming out now that he was pretty surprised to have been given the boot, because he felt apparently that with a full squad after the international, no injuries, he was capable and able to turn this round. So how much of this was Smith was messed up by injuries and the likes of Douglas not being available?
Not just Douglas not being available, but our Argentina and Brazil guys flying off what feels like every other weekend doesn't help your cause, because it ruins muscle rehabilitation. It just ruins your chance to prepare adequately for matches. The fact is, Buendia can't go more than 75 minutes. Douglas Luiz has been in and out and hasn't found form. Not only was he like gone with Brazil, but he also never had a summer break. He had 2 weeks off because what was
Olympics.
it? The World Cup, Olympics.
Spurs went through the same thing, JP, with all of our
right.
South American players.
And so, like, this idea that
big problem.
We were going to be fine just keeping Dougie, and let's be honest, Nakamba has a very limited set quality of skills he has, but to me, if we wanted to be a top 10 team, we needed to replace Nakamba with someone better. West Ham went and got a guy this summer that was open. His name is Alex Král. Alex Král. He's a Czech soccer player, and he's a defensive holding mid. He's 23. He's right about that age. I had said that a few times on different locations and said, you know what, this kid's going to be something. He was in and out of the Euros. And at 23, that's the right age. I think he's going to be fine. I think he would have been great with us. Someone like Weston McKennie, I think would have been great as well. Both the guys, you could Král would have been like only 10 or 15 million. And Weston McKennie would have been near that 25 mark. But midfield of McGinn, McKennie, and someone like Luiz or someone like Buendia would just be really good, really quick, young players. But West Ham really shows teams what happens when you have two legit holding center mids, two guys that complement each other well, and we just don't. Our midfield holders, our 6 and 8, do not complement each other at all.
To go back to the point though? Is this that? So that's it. Is this not
another
indication?
It's a system issue.
Yeah, but surely that like the manager, like, and this isn't a case.
That's what I mean. This manager system is wrong for the players.
And like he just the buying. We've been sold this kind of pipe dream of we're building. We know Christian Purslow. I think Christian Purslow is a phenomenal manager of consumer expectation. He goes in, he says exactly what people need to hear. He did it when we've seen him. He did it at Liverpool, and Liverpool really almost shit the bed years ago when he was first around there. So this guy hasn't hit the tops of the tops, and he always seems to land on his feet. Now, I don't mind Purslow. I don't hate him. I just sometimes think I don't know if I can trust you 100%. Like, nice to have a beer with you, and I turn around and you think I'm going to stab you in the back. So I just wonder a little bit whether Dean didn't really have the full freedom in the transfer window. Like, Simon, what do you think? Do you think there was a bit of that? But like, I look at some of the signings. We got really excited about Buendia. That hasn't panned out. We needed a holding midfielder. We probably really haven't done that. And then I look at David Moyes, which, Mikey, you were talking about big trouble being claret and blue. There's a couple of options. If it all goes to shit here, you can just Burnley are sticking around.
There's a ton of West Ham fans here, so.
Exactly. So Simon, what do you think? Do you think there's a bit here from Dean was set up to fail, or is this has to land at his feet and at his door?
Well, I don't really know how the transfer activity even works at Villa, to be perfectly honest. I mean, Langer, right, is the person who's going out and getting the players. I mean, do they then have a committee where they sit around and decide between the coaches
I
and
think they
Simon,
do,
Simon,
yeah.
quickly, do you guys mind? Do you guys have a director of football at Villa or no?
Langa.
He is the director.
Yeah,
of
Langer is
he takes
by
over the
definition,
director
he's the one who
pretty
sort of
much,
is in
yeah.
charge of transfers. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
We lost him. He'll come back. We'll let him back in when Mikey gets back. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry, Simon.
so I guess the point that I was trying to get to in terms of your question, Luke,
Yeah.
I don't know how much influence Dino had over that, right? Whether he was the one who was identifying players or whether he was the one who was just being told, this is who you've got, go and fit them into your squad, right? I mean, again, I think JP was about to say that they probably do have a committee that sits around, but again, he's one of many voices. Is he the one who is the final decision maker? I don't think
That's
he was.
a great point.
I mean, I want to jump in right there for you, Simon, just for a quick second. We've seen this before where Dean wants a certain player, but we get somebody else. You know, he wanted the Leeds holding mid, what's his Calvin Phillips, and instead we got Nakamba and Luiz for what it would have cost us to get him. I think Buendia was his guy. I don't think Bailey and I don't think Ings were his guys. I think Buendia was. I think the other two were not. We know Dino kind of likes to shop at that top of the level championship guys. You know, the Oli Watkins, the Matty Cashes of the world. He kind of likes that, and I felt like he got one guy out of the three that they used to replace the Jack Grealish money.
Well, wouldn't you say this is a problem like with Man United too? Right, having totally. So long as
who's in charge? Who's in charge, Mikey? Who's in charge? Right, like
it's
the question.
Sporting, right? The sporting director, right? I mean, I can only imagine with Spurs. I mean, having Conte there, it's like
Paratici and Conte together, two people who've worked at Juventus at the highest level, and I mean, come on, like that's what you want. I'm not trying to have a wank here, but I mean that's what Villa. No, I am having a bit of a wank, but that's what Villa want. Like you guys want a similar structure. That's top clubs have that structure, and honestly, and they're allowed to do what they want. I think that's where there's a bit of mud.
Yeah, and I think right now they've been trying to look at teams like Leicester and their structure and how they were able to escape and then miraculously pull off a miracle, and also still very active in a transfer market with very shrewd buys. They understood
their recruitment is amazing.
Exactly. So it's funny when I look at this season's transfers, I look at Villa's physique. And we are a very small team, physically very small.
Right. Well, which is a big deal.
It in a very physical league, and that's why when you look at the teams that have that midfield presence, such as a West Ham, they're big. They let you know I'm here. Souček's what, 6'7"?
They have like 4 players that are over 6'4".
Obana, Antonio, that guy's a wall. Big. And here we are trying to run around. When your star player, Emi Buendia, is like, 5'6", 5'5", he's just getting knocked out. There is no protection for him. Our protection for him is Douglas Luiz or John McGinn, who even then he uses his
short guys.
Not really protection, are they? They're just sort of like players that tools in a midfield, right?
So
McGinn's a crash dummy.
So I feel like when it comes to the transfer market, and I alluded to a couple of people, I'm a little worried about the influences of certain agents, such as Jorge Mendes, right? How he's kind of like, that Portuguese flair, and, with the ramblings about Paulo Fonseca and stuff. I'm not interested in that because I just feel like, okay, who's pocketing what here? There's too much outside influence there. So that's what's a little bit worrying about, like, is the next manager a hire that's actually best for the team or someone's pocket?
I think that's a great point. I think that throws us onto our next slide, Brian.
I was just going to say that's like
beautiful segue.
That's a segue right there.
Well done, Mike. You didn't even know.
Mikey with the professional segue going on there.
This is it now, and this is where it gets a little juicy, because I think what you just said, Mikey, is the ultimate realization here that I read an article earlier, and it basically said whoever comes in should take a leaf out of Moyes' book and go straight in and say, right, I want all of these players to gain 4 to 6 pounds of muscle in the next 3 to 4 months. Like they have to bulk up, and they have to go get some height in this team and really start to kind of boss this a little bit. But we talk about targets. We've had a lot of random names. We've had Fonseca. We've had Martinez, who I'm with you, JP. I think absolutely not. I do not like that one bit. We have Steven Gerrard as running as the favorite right now. An
That's never
interesting
gonna
one.
happen.
I think.
Well, they reckon he's been approached, and I think Jamie Carragher said this right the other day.
Mid-season with
They were
Rangers?
asking him, and he said exactly his second season. He's won last year. He thinks the perfect workout here would be for Gerrard to stay for 2, get 2 obviously leagues under his belt, row in row, like week in, week out. Here's first year, here's second year. I've done it 2 years. And then, he becomes a lot more desirable. But if Villa approach Steven Gerrard at this point, he knows where he is. This is the level now for Steven Gerrard. He's not getting that Liverpool job. In a couple of years' time, he'll probably end up there. So, we've got a lot of suggestions. Ralph Husenhudel over at Southampton as
That's
well.
absurd, that one.
Yeah.
Well, it's
I just
strange
don't see a
because
guy
when he-
living in the middle of the season
when
in
he
the
first-
same league.
Yeah, but when he first came in, like we're all raving about him, and he's had not 1, not 2,
Very
but I
up
think
and down,
3,
isn't he?
6 or 7 plus defeats. So it's very up and down. So
Mhm.
I want to throw it out to you all here. A lot of random names. JT again being mentioned. Maybe there was a little bit more to it that meets the eye there. Like, where are we thinking on these suggestions, Simon? Like, where is your head taking you right now?
Sure. Well, first of all, question. I wonder how much Purslow and Gerrard know each other from their time at Liverpool together. So there may be something in that from that link. I would say Martinez, no, absolutely not. He'd be him and Hassan, or however you pronounce his name, would be the first 2 I'd wipe off that list and wouldn't even look back again.
Hasselhoff. That's it,
Yeah.
So
I'd rather have the half actually. That's
yeah, with his kebab eating, that would be nice down the Villa.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic.
But the 2 overseas managers I don't really know too much about. Again, we're going back to when JT left us. It was a really strange way that he left, and I think again, Mikey probably touched on this earlier. The fact that his announcement was that he wanted to go around Europe to work with other managers and get some more experience. I've only seen him on his boat in the Mediterranean. I haven't seen him working with any other
golf.
And
Plays a lot of golf, man.
So I haven't seen him working with any other managers. So again, I question whether there was something in his leaving that they may go back to him.
Simon,
it's a
I
tough
actually
one.
think from an outside perspective, based on what we've talked about defense, the Villa's defense and the issues with the defense and the captainship, I honestly think that he's your best choice. If I was the Villa management right now, I'd be like, what did he bring to the team, and then what happened when he left? John Terry right now, I would. That's who I'd go in for. I know that's a massive risk because he
He's
doesn't
my
have a job
guy.
at a highest
I'd
level.
probably give him an 18
but I
month.
think he's
I'd give him an 18-month contract.
Yeah, exactly. Give him some time. Say, here's what we're gonna do. You know what the players know you. This is the thing. He's got an inside with the club already, and the players respect him already. And he's won things. He has a level to him that I don't think any of these other people. I mean, obviously Gerrard does as well. And I just think when it comes to connection at the club, what John Terry has done and what he did as a defensive manager and what he made Villa's defense one of the best in the league. I arguably think because what he did, not because of what Dean Smith did.
Yeah, and there's no obvious choice there. I think if you put a poll out on the Villa sites today and you had all these 6 names up there, you'd probably get within a range of 10 to 20% for every one of them.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's going to be.
Nobody knows, right?
I think Stevie G would probably just pip a lot. I like the shout for John Terry, but I could see him being the fall guy, right? He's the third choice, so we don't do a Tottenham. We don't go through 10 managers and then 48 days
Oh,
later
love
in
the dig,
January.
I think
JP.
we
Love
get
the dig,
Nuno.
buddy.
You know?
Ooh,
Nicely done,
hell
pal.
yeah,
No,
we're getting Nuno.
Hey, wait.
Nuno can fucking
Wait,
sod
wait.
off. Yeah. I do think
Is that your
Villa
dad?
and I do
Sure.
think Villa go for Steven Gerrard, and from what the Athletic has said, they are more than willing to pay for compensation for
Yep.
him.
Yeah.
So I think it's
What's
going to come
Rangers
down
compensation? That'd be a
Yeah, it's
fucking
50,
Yeah.
50
bag
bucks
of
and a new
chips and an
kit.
iron
Yeah.
brew. Yeah, I was gonna say.
to,
Yeah.
and tickets to a Liverpool game.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's going to just come down to does he see himself finishing out the season, or does he think he's going to get a better job offer in the summer? And Villa isn't the worst thing to be looking at these days. You know, we might be in 15th, but you're going to be given 75, 100,
There's
massive-
investment there, right,
massive
JP? There's
club.
investment. Yeah.
You can
Again,
have
JP, it
30,
comes back
50
to
million in
money behind it.
How
January.
much influence will he have over those new players?
That's going to come down to it. You know, how much will they offer him to get him? Because it seems like all the whispers are saying that he is high on their list. I don't think they could get Hasselhoff, right? I don't think you could get him. I don't think you could get him from Southampton.
He's
in the middle
not
of
leaving
season
Southampton mid-season.
after getting
No.
after buying from them 2 seasons in a row, constantly like kind of going after some of their guys. So
Yeah.
Connor, great point. Villa's the number one
just
most
check that
attractive
back up
open
again.
job in the world, and I absolutely agree. I think we've not been the Villa of yesteryear, but we are still the Villa that people still remember. We're still a massive club in the worldwide football. People still know we're still a Champions League winner. We've still won the Premier League. Like we've done a lot, and we've achieved a lot. And
It's been a while. It's been a while, but yeah,
it has been a while. But
big
like
club,
Tottenham
club.
have won fuck all, but Tottenham is still a big club.
Well,
they've got a $1 billion stadium. They've got money behind them.
Not one fuck all. That's not true. But go on.
Well, no, in the same amount of time, the Villa, like
It's been ages for both of us.
Yeah, exactly.
We're basically in the
That's
same place, except
we are,
except with a brand new stadium.
Yeah, except with all the other
better
stuff,
players,
infrastructure,
better team,
and one of the best
higher
managers
finishes.
in the world. But yeah, anyway, go on.
Oh fuck me, Jesus Christ! I can't wait until you lose 4 on the bounce.
You
I know, I
invited me
just,
here.
like,
You
can't
invited
wait
me
to
here, buddy.
jump.
So
We had to have you here. Unfortunately, you hosted. But
4 on the bounce.
no,
I
want to throw out Mikey. Going back to you here, or Brian, even like Brian. You know enough about football. You follow this. You know what's happening. Of the 6 guys on that screen, and if you just don't, I'm not sure if you know the guy in the middle with JP. That's obviously the Danish manager whose name's been thrown around, who has a terrible club record. Do you think, Brian, honestly, as a non-Villa objective person right now, that any one of these 6 offer a better solution than what we had in Smith? Do you think they're
I
coming
think
right
there's
now?
two. I think there's John Terry and I think there's Steven Gerrard. I think those 2 managers, if you're thinking about quality and what they would bring because of their mentality, what they've won at the club level as players, that and I think immediately has an effect on how players respond to them. And I do think that, like as I said earlier, when it comes to John Terry and what he did as a defensive coach for Villa last season and the fact that he isn't here this season, there's a correlation there. Not necessarily correlation doesn't necessarily equal causation all the time, but I think those are the 2 best. Other than Hasenhüttl, like you said, super inconsistent. Martinez, I mean, come on, he can barely do anything with Belgium. He's garbage. Not a club man, not even a good manager at the international
good
level.
at Everton.
Yeah, he's not. That's not even. I don't even know why he's on the picture. Maybe Paul was bored. I think you got to look at Gerrard and Terry with this. Are there any? I would ask you guys, and if you don't mind, and if my question,
Connor Potter, Graham Potter, but.
Well,
Connor,
wait.
honestly,
JP, let me finish my question, and that might be the answer for your. This might be your
Go ahead.
answer. Of the 6 that are here, are there any other managers that you guys are thinking about that you might be looking at going like none of these are managers I would consider, but I could consider this guy as a number 1. So JP, if you don't mind answering that one first.
Sure, like Graham Potter is thrown out already in the group chat by Connor Flynn, but I think there's actually a better chance of John Terry shagging a wife when no women are living on this planet anymore.
Potter's not leaving Brighton right now.
He's not leaving, dude.
Why would he? They're doing
like,
really well.
Go get Zidane. Like, shut up.
Mikey, what are your thoughts on other managers? Of the 6 we just saw, is there other managers you have in your mind, or you thought
I think,
you might want to see?
I mean,
Even considered that the word,
I would definitely prefer Graham Potter. I think right now this team needs an identity. It needs a philosophy. It needs a manager that can go right in there and be like, wake the fuck up. You need
How about
to
Eddie
show. And
he's
this
gone.
is
He's at
where,
Newcastle.
yeah,
Big,
signed
big-
today.
I think a big
He signed
miss.
today.
Was it confirmed?
Oh, yeah.
all
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
it's confirmed.
I think I actually spoke with Aiden about this earlier today. The dark horse, Unai Emery. He was approached by Newcastle.
He
Now,
doesn't want to leave right now, though, does he?
and no, he
well,
was
maybe he didn't want to go to
the
Newcastle.
fact that he spoke with them and is open to talking says, all right, yeah, we could convince you some way, somehow. I'm pretty sure he has unfinished business in the Premier League as well, too. And don't get me wrong, yes, Villarreal is doing pretty well for themselves and all that stuff. But there's always that lure of the Premier League that gets all these coaches like, oh, I just want a piece of that action. Just give me that chance. And like you said, right now, Villa is probably the most lucrative job opening right now in world football. You have, I would assume, two owners who are quite patient and they are willing to open their pockets. You have an extremely loyal fan base with a historic football club, football pitch. And they're yearning for something. Please, are we the sleeping giant, or are we never going to wake up? What type of manager is willing to take on this challenge and say, I will take on all the heat. I will take this by the
Who
reins.
has that, though? Who's available that has that? Is
So
it
you know what?
Okay, so I'm gonna
Emery
throw one
struggled
out
at
there,
Arsenal.
right?
We all know what happened there. So go on.
Well, how about if there was a manager, right, who'd won 339 of 630 games played, had international managerial experience, had big club level experience, and has recently become available? What do you think of that?
Zidane.
No.
Okay.
And I'm gonna throw and this will be interesting, but I think he was done rotten recently, and I'm gonna throw it out there. Ronald Koeman.
Oh, fuck off.
Oh, fuck off, mate. Get the
Mate,
fuck outta here.
what did he do? What did he do at Southampton? What did he do?
What
at
did he do at Everton? Yeah, he spent how much?
Didn't he
How
just
much-
fail in MLS?
Yeah.
No, he
No,
did.
that's
he
De Boer.
failed at
Barcelona,
Barcelona
dude. He
because
was
he
at
got set up for
Barcelona,
failure
yeah.
at Barcelona.
Yeah.
I think Koeman has had a really bad rap, and I think Koeman has a ton of experience. He's incredibly
It's not a bad
respected
show.
in the
It's not a
game.
bad show.
The reason Barcelona brought him in was because he's a bit of a club legend. Now
Mhm.
Barcelona is a fucking dumpster fire right now, and I actually really feel for him there because he was never going to succeed there. Like they literally went at him in press conferences. Imagine going after your manager. The last time Barcelona fucked over a manager that bad was to Bobby Robson. Bobby Robson managed them. He won 3 trophies in his first season, and he got kicked out.
Got the sack.
So I don't know. Yeah, but he was pretty ass in the EPL. I don't know if he was, mate. Like Connor, it's the Southampton. He had a cracking run. Now, Everton, I'd need to have a look more of his statistics, but
it was crap.
I don't
at
know.
Everton.
I don't know with Koeman.
He would
like,
leave in a heartbeat if another big club came. I think you have to
But
start.
why
thinking
would they
about,
at this point? He's been sacked from Barcelona. He's not
Yeah.
going to get another big club.
He's
I
going to
don't
be.
No
damaged
big club's
goods.
coming in for him
damaged goods.
unless he
I-
proves
I-
himself again, and maybe Villa's the job that gets him an opportunity to prove himself again. He's going to be backed with money, and that's
But
that's going to be
Oh,
key. He wasn't
150 pounds. He was back in Everton. What did he do? He lasted less than a season.
Yeah, I mean, look,
He was done.
I'm not saying it's going to work. I'm just saying, what are your options? Like JP, who are your options, mate? Who are you? Who else is
Actually,
available? Like
the
that you
guy
could
I
pick?
would like is out of the blue. It's Ralph Ragnick, the ex Leipzig
Schalke.
manager,
Leipzig.
Schalke, Hoffenheim. Like he's been around the block. He's currently not a manager. He's currently actually at FC Lokomotiv
Porn star.
Moscow.
He's got a good
as
record. Actually,
a head of sports and development. So he's like in the backroom staff over at
Jesus.
Lokomotiv, and I would be interested in him. I'd be interested in
I think it's a
Jesse
good show,
Marsh.
JP.
I'd
I
be
really think.
interested in the Lille manager who just won the
Lille,
French
what,
league.
Lille? What
Lille.
is Lille?
Lille, sorry. Lille.
Jesus, you're so North American. it's
Christophe
absolutely
Gauthier.
painful.
Lille.
Lille. I was
JP,
wrapped
go
up
take
in
your
my
vitamins
brain.
and be done with this.
So there's a few people I'd like, but
Yeah,
Okay.
that Christophe Gauthier was
Those are
actually
good shows,
touted
though. Those are good
Yeah.
shows, JP.
for a few seasons back,
Yeah.
and he's done a lot with very little.
I think the
So,
Ralph Ragnick
Simon-
one is one that's when of course when Nuno got sacked, there was about Spurs talk about who's going to come in. Nobody thought Conte was going to get hired, so it was like Ralph Ragnick was one of the lists
Yeah.
where I went and looked at his statistics, and when he'd done it as a manager, I'm like, I could see this working at Spurs. So I mean, why wouldn't he work at Villa? You're going to get back. He's going to have sort of freedom to determine what his squad's going to look like. And I think that's probably the best shout I've heard so far tonight.
Lucien Favre, yeah, I like him too.
Yeah,
Kevin,
I think
Kevin Hunter just posted
the
that.
problem with Ralph is that he had free reign at Leipzig. He had pretty much, here you go, you run the club. Now, all right, now you have to go how many people above him? You know, it's like, again, as you alluded to, Brian, it's like, well, who's running the show here? And like who's making the wheelings and dealings, right? So ultimately, who is Purslow?
Who's
ultimately
in charge,
the
kind
guy?
of thing.
Yeah, because maybe Longa actually said, right then, Dino, here's the list. What do you think? Great, this is what we want. We bring it out to Purslow. Purslow says no, and he's not
Simon,
really
what
the
do you think
football
is
guy.
most important at this stage? Because you've been a Villa fan a long time, Simon. You've seen numerous managers come in, come out. I think you have a good feel for this club and a good feel for what we need. Do we need more of a player that commands respect in a Steven Gerrard, a John Terry, or do we need someone with a managerial, heavy, like statistically kind of apt career? Like what do we need? And
there's
who
one
would
thing
you
that I
name?
think there's one thing I think we need, and that's somebody who wants the job.
Yeah.
First and foremost, somebody who wants the job, and I'll refer back to
Okay.
Newcastle.
All right, I'll
as
give
well.
it a go. I see what you're saying. Yeah, all right.
But you know what I mean, right? I mean, I don't want somebody who's going to come and in 18 months' time is just using us as a stepping stone, and that's what I
for
fear
sure.
about Gerrard, right? I don't know how much longer Klopp's going to be at Liverpool. Gerrard comes in 18 months, 2.5 years or something, gets the project going, and then
Yeah, that's a very
buggers
good
off,
point.
right? But I think we've got to temper our enthusiasm. Take a look at Newcastle, right? The money they've got, they literally could have gotten anybody,
But they couldn't, though.
Nobody wants
Why
to
not?
go there.
Well, money isn't. I mean, it's hard to say. Money is almost everything. But
He's all like,
no. But I just think like the project for managers at the highest level, it does have to feel. They do have to feel like they're going to get to that level relatively quickly. I think Newcastle have to take a couple of steps before they're going to be able to do the things that they'll eventually be able to do. I know they'll get there, but their first manager isn't going to be Antonio Conte, or it's
no.
But
I think
Pep
what I'm
Guardiola.
saying,
It's going to
Brian,
take a
is,
couple of steps. You know what I mean?
I think what I'm saying is that we're on a kind of par with Newcastle, right, in terms of our
Yeah, I would agree with
attractiveness.
that.
As much as I hate to say, because I hate Newcastle and I hate the fact that they think they're a big club because they're the only team within 35 miles of.
But they are a
anybody
big
else.
club, Simon. Come on.
Well, they are because of their location, but
Their
okay.
history too is big. Come on, it's not as big as
They've
Villa's.
won one trophy. I think.
Okay, it's
So,
fine,
yeah.
fine. You
So,
know, we're not going to get into that.
But anyway, what was I saying? I think we just got to temper our enthusiasm. I think we need somebody who's enthusiastic. I think Brian Hanna mentioned it earlier that we could go for somebody out of left field here. We want somebody who's young and progressive, but somebody who garners respect as well. And there's probably a few managers that check those boxes, but I'll be damned if I know who they are. But I think the 6 people that we put up earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if it's none of those. And it could be somebody who is completely nobody has even been talking about.
Which is usually the
Steven
case.
Gerrard
I think
is
that's
5
likely
to
the
4
case.
favorite right now.
Yeah, but
5 to
favorites
4
and betting and all
Gerrard
that
is
is
and,
kind
and
of
5 to
just
4
taking
is
the
not that
piss most of
strong,
the time.
is it really? But
That's
go
almost
back to your
evens.
question. Go back
pretty
to your
strong.
question, Luke. I want somebody who's going to be who again believes in the project, is going to be committed to staying around, and is not going to be looking for their next step somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's my ultimate wish.
Yep.
Fair.
Good show. JP, you wanted to add something here? Fella?
yeah, we're approaching the hour mark. I wanted to try and get this in, considering this is a Villa and it's a more focus on the Dino side of it, and we're looking at the managerial pieces. I shot you a photo. This was actually Dean Smith in Minnesota. Simon,
Yeah.
I think you were actually with us at this point. And this
I
to
was.
me is just playing into the type of character Dino was. Dean Smith was such a stand-up guy. We were at a pub, and all
Actually,
of a sudden
that's my
John
leg.
Terry's walked
That's
in.
my leg with the blue shoe on, by the way.
Oh, what nice legs you have,
Sexy, buddy,
sir.
sexy.
Great legs.
Not as hairy as your chin, but sexy nonetheless.
Yeah, so John Terry walked in and then quickly saw like us 10 Villa fans sitting there drinking and having a good time, and he went to go leave. I think Simon, you actually went and told him, "Hey, we'll stay down here. You guys can have the top
Yeah.
floor."
Mm-hmm.
Of course, 20 minutes later, we go out and sit nearby them, but not with them because it's literally like the whole coaching staff. It's like 15 of these guys.
Yeah.
And
Like a bunch of
after-
perverts. Yeah, getting closer.
Yeah, and
Nice.
yeah, we were. And of course, Dean Smith got up, came over with his drink, and basically hung out with us for 30 minutes, chatting the shit, telling us about tactics, talking to us about player recruitment, talking to us about, hey, we're not going for that guy. Like, I don't care what any report says, he's not on anywhere near our list. Like, don't even, there's no chance. And he was literally telling us everything that we asked. He didn't hold back at all.
But
And it was
JP, you also
amazing.
mentioned that Henry Lansbury was the player he was looking forward to most playing that season as well.
No, some of the kids were like, "Hey, go get Benteke back," and he's like, that's not happening." But the
I know
coolest thing
Benteke's playing
was,
pretty well right now.
well, finally, but what is he, 36?
Yeah.
That was the coolest thing for him to come over, engage with fans, spend
sure.
30 minutes, not like just like, "Hey guys, how you doing?" Shake hands and bounce. He spent 30 minutes of his time, and he
Yeah.
wasn't bothered by it. He was like,
was
he
drunk.
was into it. Yeah, I can't tell these days sometimes with you Englishmen, but it was just that connection with fans was real again.
Well,
And-
JP, that was immediately after. Well, it was the same day at least that a number of us had been invited to the training session, the open training session.
That I
And
made
he'd
it to.
spent a similar amount of time with us at the open training session
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, fantastic
And
guy.
It was an amazing day just because a guy said, "You know what? Fans are important of a club." And there's a lot of fans out there that have no feeling of connection with their club. And for a long time, I as a Villa fan had no feeling of connection with the club. And I'd met Alex McLeish when he took over, when they came stateside, and I could tell he really didn't want to hear what I had to say at all. Where Dean Smith, at least, he entertained us and he gave a shit. And
Yeah,
it
JP,
was
I get
amazing.
that from a Spurs perspective because we got that with Pochettino.
Yeah.
It's that same idea. It's like he cares that I
I
met
thought if
Pochettino.
if you'd said Conte, I literally would have disconnected.
No,
your
no,
interest.
no.
I get that from Conte. I feel like
I got that
he's
from
a boy.
Pochettino. I met Pochettino
Yeah.
in Toronto. I got my picture with him. He was very easy to talk
He's a
to.
great manager for you
He
guys.
connected you with your club again. He made you care about the people at the club.
He was our
Everybody
boss.
he cared about and this is what it comes down, not just Pochettino, but good managers have the same affinity for the person who's making the food for the players as the players themselves. That's the thing you want. You
Yeah.
want that level of care factor in this is a club. It's called a club, not just a team. It's everybody going for the same thing with the same idea. That's the goal, right? And I think that's what you should be looking for in a manager. And I mean, I don't know if that exists right now. That's a hard one to come by. That's a hard one to come by, period.
Yeah.
Whether they are available or not, whether they'll actually want to
Shouldn't
do
be
it
that.
and whether they'll find an affinity.
Yeah.
But that is the thing we want as fans, is to find a fucking manager that will bring us back to the club that we care about. Like that. Would you guys
And I
agree with
think-
that?
100%.
Yeah, I think that's why this has been so difficult. I think although some of us wanted him out more than others, I think all of us are feeling like a bit of mourning. And
Yeah.
I don't
You've
think
lost
United fans
something, right?
will
Yeah. Grieving.
will feel like that. Yeah, I don't think United will feel like that when Ole goes out. I don't think, you felt that when Nuno went out. Like, we have a connection with Dino. He is
Poch, I did,
he
but
is
yeah,
and always
in the
will
same
be
idea.
an Aston Villa fan. He dreamt of this day. He was like the job. He was like suggested for the role by a reporter, and contacted the reporter before he got the job. And like, he is, and as Connor said, he's an absolute class act. And I don't think a Villa fan would say like anything against him. It's just the realistic expectation now is that we have had big billionaire investment. We have Wes Edens, who's the lowly of the two owners, but has gone and absolutely blown up the NBA with a Bucks win and wants to emulate that now in the Premier League and wants to be the underdog that can go forward. And I just think that is unfortunately where Dino was ultimately going to slip up. I just didn't see enough. As you said, Mikey, like that 5-year plan, you get to that 2.5, 3 year point, you go, right, are we on the point? Are we on the traction that we need? And they looked and went, no. And you know, then it's a pros and cons, and the cons take it. So, you know, I think
Luke,
that's it. And
yeah, sorry, Luke,
Yeah.
I was just going to say, and that
No,
goes
please.
back to my point earlier about I think this was the right time. It saved him the legacy
Yeah,
as well that he's
100%.
built up.
Yeah.
I think if it had gone on any longer, it would have tarnished his reputation with Villa.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
agreed.
I think so. Well, I think at that point
Shout-
we're
quick-
probably at a
quick-
decent
look,
leg.
Yeah, I agree. I just
Yeah.
want a quick shout out to what Kevin Hunter's saying here, because I think this sort of goes to what we've just said. Reading tonight, the
Yeah.
Dean wrote to each player a handwritten letter to wish them well. Says it all, gentlemen. He is you know, he's Villa through and
Not
through.
even surprised. What
He's
a
been
great guy.
great
Well,
for
facts.
you guys as a manager. He's gotten you to where you are. But just as a person who's sort of watched Villa this season, I just think he isn't the man to get you to that next place that you need to be relevant in what is now arguably one of the most difficult leagues to be successful in at the highest level, and to get the manager who's going to get you there. He just isn't that. It's too bad, because he has everything you want from a manager, but from a tactical nous and an understanding of the game, he isn't going to do it. So if you don't mind, Luke, before we finish this off, I just would love to go around the horn
go.
from me asking. I'll start with you, Luke. Who do you want as Villa's next manager? Like, what's your best? What would, and all of the rest of you, Mikey, JP, and Simon, think about it as Luke is thinking about it. Who do you want to see as Villa's next manager?
In 30 seconds.
Tough, man.
And if you can't get it, and somebody else has one, let me know.
I got it.
Okay,
Yeah,
JP,
go
you go
ahead.
first. You said first.
I'm gonna go with Stevie G. I think Stevie G is my man. And he could not work out, but you know what? I think I like the idea of managers who go up to Scotland, they practice, they hone their trade. It's a different style of game.
He did do it right,
brutal,
didn't he?
It's physical. He did do it right. He didn't do the Frank Lampard.
He didn't do
Hey,
Lampard, I
I
was
did
gonna say
crap
that,
at Derby, and then I get
Yeah, for
Chelsea.
sure.
Right?
He's earned his stripes a bit in a managing scenario where it's grit, it's determination, it's understanding. He took a team that was like hadn't beat Celtic in how long?
Yeah,
and then won the league. So that was impressive. Very
Granted,
impressive.
Celtic are doing a Barcelona, but I think he's my guy, and to me, he's the most realistic. Like Graham Potter isn't going to happen.
No,
some of these guys that are being
availability
thrown out there are
matters, right? And I think take that into account with this question. So Mikey and Simon and Insta, I almost called you Insta because
he's got that winning desire. He's got that winning mentality.
Pick a manager that is realistic. And so JP has made his. Simon, you know what you want to do?
30 seconds.
Yeah. So again, I think there's probably 20 names in the hat right now, and each of them are probably equally as likely to get the role. But if you were to hold a gun against my head right now, I'd say JT, and just purely because he was at Villa, I think he grew to love Villa.
I actually think, just Simon, just to throw into that, I actually think the players grew to love him.
Yeah,
like the defense responded to him really well, and that was the reason why you guys were so solid last season.
Yeah,
and I do think there's a massive difference between them.
As I mentioned earlier, 18-month contract. Let him come in, let him shake things up a little bit. Maybe stabilize things.
Give him a year extension if things go well, and if they don't, you can move on, right?
18 months with a year option or whatever it may be. I think the trouble is I don't know too much about the Scottish League and what Gerrard has done up there, and so I defer to JP on that. The other two foreign managers that we had on the screen as well, don't really know too much about them. I know the Danish manager is pretty awful at club level, but I think again JT would be my choice if I was to have to make.
Simon, as an outsider, I would pick JT as well. I think that's probably the best choice, but Steven Gerrard would be a very close second, and I don't think you'd do wrong with either of them. I think both of them would make Villa going into the rest of the season comfortable. But Mikey, I'm going to leave Luke for last because he seemed to struggle with the question in the first place. Mikey, what's your choice?
I even spoke to Luke early on in the season. I threw in Steven Gerrard early on. I believe that his presence, his reputation as a player. If I was a player for Aston Villa and Steven Gerrard is my next manager, I will go all out to play for him because I know what he's done as a Premier League player. I know the struggles and the sacrifice he's had to do. That's called commitment. Yeah. And right now, I want players that, hey, we might lose.
Give everything.
God almighty, give everything. Make it fucking hard for people. Make their life miserable.
Which is what you guys did last season, to be fair.
Exactly. It was, and right? Even at Chelsea, that 3-0 score line was pretty humbling, but they gave them a good run. And that's what I want to see. I want to see players be like, right, the manager is telling, fucking run, go back. I want that activity. And I do think that Steven Gerrard's demeanor as being much more calm and composed can keep a much more fragile team closer together rather than someone yelling in their face and just absolutely shatter their confidence. I think Steven Gerrard is a player that can definitely instill confidence in a unmotivated team and give them some sort of belief. And even if it's only 18 months or whatever it is, give these players and give the club some stability.
Kicking the
showcase.
Balls too, right? Get them up.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Good show, Mikey. Good show, Luke. On to you now, and I'm gonna give you my final thought from the outside after Luke goes, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do it anyway, even if you mind.
I have no idea. I don't know.
You have no idea?
I honestly would hate to be in this position. I actually think I think all of them actually have a good shout. I think I can see Steven Gerrard probably peaking this. I think as much as Simon makes a great point, and it is definitely something that is worrying because he is definitely looking at that Liverpool job, and it's not going to be any more than 3 years at a push, probably 2.
Is he better, Luke, though, if he does a single job for 18 months in the Premier League? He's better as the next Liverpool manager when Klopp's contract
he's
like that's good for him to do that. You know what I mean?
Then
like it's a positive.
He needs that.
I've managed the Premier League. I did the Scottish, managed the Premier League, got this team to be functional mid-table, whatever it was, and then I'm going to go manage.
That's the thing. If he balances us, and that maybe that's what he does, Simon. Maybe he comes in and does a solid 2 years and actually just steadies 2.5 years and steadies the ship. And they say, right, we know you have aspirations for Liverpool. We know that that Klopp has already said he's going to be on the way out in a couple of years. Guarantee us these 2 and a bit, stabilize the ship, come in and be what only Steven Gerrard can
get us to where they should be with the
incredible
players you have. With the players you have and the money you have, you should be in a different position than you are in the league.
I think Steven offers more there, and JT, I love JT. I like for what he did as a Villa player, and he definitely loved the club. he grew to love it. The biggest home game he ever played in was Aston Villa because we have a bigger stadium than Chelsea, and Villa Blues was the biggest home game he ever played in. So I think JT would be great. My only concern with JT is he hasn't got experience, and that is a little.
And he'll be off to Chelsea when Conte goes in 18.
So, Luke, well. I'm going to throw to all of you guys here. I'm going to throw in what I think should happen, and I think this would be the best scenario. This would be Gerrard getting the management position and hiring John Terry as his defensive coach, because John Terry, like you just said, Luke, has not managed yet at the highest level, but he has managed. He's been a defensive coach. You take those two together. I honestly think you take those two together and Villa become in a question for top 4.
I think their personality.
I'm being serious.
Rebuild the England team.
Like that is like a team of two players who won at the highest level with like captains to some of the best teams in the Premier League we've seen. Yeah. So if you're Villa's management and you go, these are the options. Let's get Gerrard in as our lead manager. Let's get John Terry back in to sort out our defense, and then you go on and you do things. They'll
be fighting on the training field of those.
Yeah,
perfect. That's what you want. You want it to be. You want it to be like that.
Well, you want that.
No, you want that. You want them to care enough. You want them to fight enough, to care enough about the club, to really make shit happen. I don't know. If I was a Villa fan, that's what I'd be looking for. I know that that's probably not likely, but that it's also like that's exciting, right? Because you have like two very good players who one of them is arguably doing really well in Scotland as a manager, and the other one who looks like he's going to be a very good manager but hasn't done it yet. So bring them both in, make them the priority. You know, if you're the chairman at Villa, you've got those options. You've got the relationship with Terry already, and you go, look, we're going to bring Terry in as a defensive coach, and we're going to bring in Steven Gerrard as our manager. You guys work together, and let's get this done. And you're going to get it done. You're good. Those two guys get it done. You do one or the other, and you're going to finish mid-table still.
I think that's where you're a delusional Spurs fan, but there we go.
It's delusional. It's nothing to do with me being a Spurs fan.
I see where the enticement is. It's not for me, but I see where the enticement is for people.
All right. Well,
yeah, it would be interesting.
I had my say. I know. That
I don't think Terry will ever be second. I don't think. I think they have too much rivalry between.
Maybe not.
He don't want to. Yes, they were England together, but that rivalry's too. There's no way he's going to
hate each other too much.
Yeah, exactly. But as you said, I think as a defensive, coach,
the idea is good, though, isn't it?
Yeah, the concept.
JT wants Stevie's wife.
Exactly.
Yeah,
well, Brian, I think we're pretty good at this stage.
I think you're right.
We're villained out. So I think
you're right. Yeah, we'll go around the horn real quick. Simon, thank you so much for being with us again. It's been a pleasure. Looking forward to having you again. Of course, JP, you are part of what we do, and always a pleasure. Mikey, first time here. Love to have you back again, man. Great insight.
Awesome.
And fantastic.
And when
stuff.
is the new location open?
Yeah. Mikey,
oh God knows. I'd love to open it in January, man. But hopefully before the
meetup.
The meetup. So I gotta talk to Brett about that. But I'll keep you guys in the loop.
Keep us in a loop, and can you make sure that you get to Luke your link to your website or how people get? I'll put it in the description.
Appreciate it.
Can connect to it. And Luke, of course, always a pleasure, brother. Fantastic stuff tonight, and that was a lot of fun. I'm the only guy who's not a Villa fan, but I really fucking enjoyed that. I did.
I knew you would, but
I enjoyed it. I have an affinity for Villa as a club. I think they're a fucking great club. It's a big club. Great fans. You guys are great fans. It's like you guys know your football. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. So thanks for having me.
We did too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And I want to just also thank all the people in the comments because you guys were brilliant. There's a bunch of Connors.
Up to Villa boys.
There's a bunch of Connors in the comments, and you guys were all dope. And so next time we do this again, anytime we do this, please like and subscribe to this channel, to the North End Podcast. We do talk Villa quite a bit because we've got JP and Luke on the channel, but also just talk football and talk the Premier League. So please join us again for the next show we're going to be doing later in the week, probably to talk about last week's results, make fun of Man United a little bit, and
Well,
and
a new United manager, I think by then, or definitely
maybe good to have you on. Thanks for listening. Cheers, watching. Bye.
Thanks.
Have a good one.
Nice. Thank you.